15 minutes after 8 o'clock. And joining us in the studio this morning, Dr. Shawn Powell, head dude over at Eastern New Mexico University, Roswell. Morning, sir. How you doing today?
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. Well, first off, before we get into all we want to talk about, how's life at the campus? Everything going well? Weather hasn't been a big issue for facilities or anything, has it?
No, the only weather we had, there was an incidental break on one of the construction projects. I think a lot of people heard about that.
Yeah.
And it was a drainage project, and they were building a retention pond, and a fellow was operating a grader, I believe, and accidentally punctured the 14-inch main water line, and we ended up with a lot of water. I'll just put it that way. And the retention ponds had been dug out, and so they were referring to it as Lake Powell there for a while. But things are good. I mean, we appreciate everybody at the campus, all of the students. Enrollment is great. We're higher 13% from what we were last year.
Good.
And faculty and staff are doing well, so things are good.
I would imagine this is the first semester in a few years where it's starting to feel like just a regular semester at the college, not a COVID, asterisk semester. You know what I mean? Is that pretty fair? I mean, you guys are pretty much mostly back to normal operations now, aren't you?
We are, absolutely. And we still have some online classes, but there's not a majority of them. I mean, the classes we offer, career tech ed, welding,
you gotta be
automotive, on the nursing, medical assisting side, any of the healthcare fields, they have to be in class.
Yeah, it's anytime we were talking skill sets, you require, whether it's turning a wrench or injecting someone with a needle or anything like that, there's only one way to learn that, and that's hands-on, getting your hands in the dirt, so to speak, and doing that, and that's we're online, and I don't know, who knows where technology is going to take us. For someday, maybe it's all virtual reality, feels like it, all that, and some things, but we're not at that point yet. So especially with these technical careers and things, you can do some of it online, but at the end of the day, someone's got to get a hood or a head under the hood or into the patient to work on him, and that takes hands-on training. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think we have about 30% of our classes are online, and then the vast majority of them are face-to-face, and we have some that are hybrid, where there are some online components and some that are face-to-face, just depending on the program and where they are. For example, the EMS and the paramedic programs, they've learned through COVID, and that was one of the benefits for them, is that they can offer some instruction online. They don't all have to be there face-to-face, which really helps.
So it helps streamline their curriculum a little bit. Yeah.
They offer the same curriculum, but what it really helps out with is the distance that some of the folks have to travel because of our paramedic program serving a large majority of eastern New Mexico.
Yeah, there are some programs at the college that are bigger than just regional for us, more than Chavez County or anything. Right. We got folks from farther out of southeast New Mexico, farther, eastern, southeast, or southwestern part of the state, or, we get, especially with our medical stuff, and certainly, I forget the name of the program, but for the special needs, where they they get folks from Texas to, all over Southwest United States coming in and being part of that. So, yes, we are a community college, but it has a bigger footprint than our community. So
absolutely. Yeah. And the special services program serves young adults with disabilities, developmental disabilities, and most of them are transitioning from the K through 12 system into independent living, and so they're able to come to our campus and live in the dorms, and then also be out in the community and job placements and learning different skills and earning certificates. So it's a good experience for them.
So it's a lot going on out there, which I'm glad to see that now it's kind of back to normal, which is a good, I guess, segue to where we're going next here is here in November, or early voting starts now. So if you're going to vote here this month, if you flip over your ballot, you're going to see 3 different bonds. They're formerly known A, B, and C. Yes. They are now 1, 2, 3. I don't know if the cast of Sesame Street got over there and got working on them. I don't know. But somebody's wisdom, they decided to change them from ABC to 1, 2, 3. So they are now equally important, just a different name. But and I would say, me personally, they're all important. One deals with seniors and getting money for like senior centers, things like that. Yes. The other two deal directly with education. Bond 2, I believe, deals with libraries and both school libraries, public libraries. If it's a library, it's affected by Bond 2. Bond 3 is for institutions of higher learning, i.e., New Mexico Military Institute, Eastern New Mexico University, Roswell, and every other college in the state of New Mexico. And so this is and if you're not familiar, and I'll let Dr. Powell explain the bigger nuts and bolts, but basically every couple years, we the people are asked to vote an extension on these bonds. It's money that's already been earmarked and allotted for these purposes to the colleges, the library, or senior centers. But every couple of years, we have to get the public's consent on reissuing these bonds. It's not going to see an increase in your taxes or anything like that. But we do need the public's permission. So every couple of years, we got to ask everyone to vote yes on. I've got to ask Yoas. He's just going to tell you need to vote on it. I can say vote yes because this gets, Bond 3 will get money to our universities. Bond 2 will get money to our libraries, and Bond 1 to our senior centers. And so all three of those are important commodities in our community. So I say vote yes, but I'll kind of let you get more into the weeds on some of that.
Sure. Well, thanks for the lead in and the support. And again, we would encourage you to turn the ballot over when you go. And as you mentioned, Mike, early voting is underway. And so again, appreciate the opportunity to be here to talk about this again. Project 1 is, like you said, for senior centers. Project 2 is for the libraries. And a couple of things about the libraries. These are the K through 12 libraries. These are the higher education libraries. These are also the public libraries. So any of the university libraries in New Mexico are open to the public. So that means the one at New Mexico Military Institute, the one at Eastern New Mexico University in Roswell. If someone wants to come to our campus and use our library resources, they're welcome to do that.
I don't know if do they have to do something special to check out material, or can they, if you're not a student there, can you get a lending card in essence?
Yes, we can organize a way for people to.
Cool. I didn't know if that was
materials.
a thing or not, so I was just kind of curious.
Yeah,
Good to know. I have to take advantage of that for some reason.
Yeah, and the other thing is a lot of online resources, digital archives are available through those two libraries as well.
Absolutely.
And ours tie into our main campus in Portales, so it's a little bit broader than some of the other two-year campuses in the state because of that relationship we have and enjoy with Portales. One of the things that we're doing with this particular project here in Chavez County, we have a project, and also New Mexico Military Institute has a project. For ours, it's adding sprinkler systems to 3 buildings. This is to upgrade the safety for the students, faculty, and staff in those buildings. And then also it will allow us to hold high school classes in those buildings. The K through 12 system, public education system, has requirements that are stricter than the higher education department in terms of sprinkler systems and fire suppression.
Sure.
So we do have the early college high school on campus. This is a way for us to offer more high school classes in those 3 buildings if the bond is passed.
To be the standards for those requirements as opposed. I'm kind of curious, and this is just gee whiz. I'm kind of when it comes up for these bond renewals and things, do you guys have to present what project you intend to do with it, or do they kind of leave that up to, all right, here's your money, or do you have to say no? Because I know it's a government thing, but you're like, do you have to basically give them a whole, this is exactly down to the penny what we're going to be doing with this money? Like, how meticulous is that? I'm just kind of curious.
It's a great question, and before I go further, I just wanted to say the project at New Mexico Military Institute is to expand Bates Dining Hall, and according to General Grizzle, this is the 5th. If it gets passed, it'll be the 5th renovation of that building.
Well, it's an old historical facility, so it's been due for a few upgrades over the years.
Yeah, and he does a great job explaining the history, but I believe it was constructed in 1915, so it's been changed over the years.
I imagine just technology technology's changed immensely between 1915 and 2022 here. So
Right.
I imagine the stoves and things they use probably need to be upgraded over the time.
Yeah, I think they use.
Would it be funny if they had
stoves.
wood burning stoves and
Yeah.
stuff in there still?
I think they've gone away with the wood burning stoves. I've eaten in base dining hall. I don't know about the kitchen. Haven't been back there yet. The process you mentioned, or you asked about the process.
Yeah, I was kind of curious about that.
So the proposals for the GEO bond are made a year before the election. So this election cycle that we're in right now, the projects that General Grizzle from NIMI and the project that we proposed from Eastern here in Roswell, those were made in 2021.
Okay.
And so they have to go through the higher education department. Then they go through the legislature session. So that happened in 21. The proposal did. HED approved it. The higher education department goes to the legislature in 22, gets approved to be placed on the ballot to sell the bonds as a proposal, goes through the election cycle. Then it goes back to the legislature in 23 to have permission to sell the bonds. And then we won't get the money until, 2 years after the proposal is made.
So hopefully the projects that you think up 2 years from now aren't in dire, aren't past their usefulness by the time you actually get the money for them. Because of red tape and everything. I'm not, everyone knows government moves glacial. That's just government. I don't care what state, federal, local, it just does.
Right. Well, I think for our projects, we have a facility master plan. I know NIMI does too. The campuses are required to have facility master plans that show what your expected renovations and remodeling and building will be for the infrastructure of the campus. And we're getting ready to revise ours in the spring. And as we move through this process, we'll identify the areas on campus that need to be renovated. And barring any catastrophe, then we'll be able to use that knowledge from the architects and engineers that put together that facility master plan to let us know, hey, your roof is going to need to be replaced on this building at a certain time.
So they hopefully give you enough leeway so by the time it's at that point, all right, here's the money, we're funded, we're ready to do this project.
Right.
Gotcha.
And that's something that is that I need to discuss as well. We really want to work with local construction firms. We want to work with local contractors. The biggest project that we just did since I've been here was the building of the maintenance facility and then also the renovation of the auto welding building. That was handled by a construction firm outside of Roswell. However, a lot of subcontractors were here locally just because of the scope of the project. We have, and I'll do a little announcement, we have a pre-bid for a project that we want to get underway, and that meeting's happening today. And it's a project just like this one we're proposing. It's from a couple of years ago, and it's the sewer sanitation and restroom renovation project that the voters approved here in Chavez County and the state as part of the last GEO bond. And we're holding that meeting for the contractors to do a pre-bid walkthrough basically and to talk about it today at 10. So hopefully we'll get some construction firms that'll show up and be interested in that project.
Good deal.
It's scheduled to be about a $3.3 million project overall.
I got a feeling you'll have a few folks there showing up ready to bid.
We hope so.
I imagine everyone's looking for work right now, including contractors. So.
But I think one of the things about the GEO bond, like you mentioned, it's the authorization to sell bonds that were set aside 10 years ago, and you have the interest that's built in. And like you indicated, the state identifies how much can be given out, and this year statewide it's $215 million. No tax increase. It's tax neutral. If you vote for it, there's no increase. If you vote against it, and there's no tax decrease.
Yeah.
So
it's a win-win. It's just money being invested back into our community. And obviously, like you said, and this is why I say vote. He can't. He's not allowed because he's where he's at, and it's considered a faux pas for him to do it. I'm a dumb DJ that has no bone in this fight or no dog in this fight, and so from my opinion is that all of this is money to better our community. The senior centers always can use more money for projects. certainly the libraries. They especially in the world of COVID, where we're playing catch up for getting our kids back on track. Guess what's going to play a vital role in that? Our libraries are places that offer education outside of the classroom. So, the monies that, not only do, they're expecting it, but we got to have it because they're already, and I'm telling you, every library, across the state, any education facility in the state right now is trying to rub two nickels together to make things happen because there's a lot of demand on what's needed. We're living in a world where everything's changing, so I would imagine there's probably a lot of institutions that are beefing up security and things like that just because of the world we now seem to live in and things, and so all this money is very important. So think even if you're like saying, you know what, ENMU-Roswell project doesn't sound that important to me, but guess what? There's about 70,000 other projects that are, probably vital. And I'm not trying to, belittle what you're doing, but even if you're like saying, well, I don't agree with that project. Okay. Well, you're funding every other project in the state too. So please vote yes on all three of these bonds. Let's support these because these are organizations that pick up the slack or create opportunity for those in our community. The role of the senior centers in our state and the world we live in, where seniors, it's seniors get isolated when they get older. Friends start dying. The family gets older and they're starting their own kids and world, and grandma and grandpa sometimes are an afterthought there. And so senior centers need to kind of step up the void of creating social lives, creating good mental health opportunities for our seniors. Usually they're the conduit for getting them in touch with things like healthcare and physical fitness and all the things that senior resources, those senior centers are the resource for that. So the money you're voting yes to keep spending is very important to this community. So please, especially all you folks sit there and say, why don't we have this and this? Well, guess what? If you don't fund it, we're never going to have this, and this. So please fund it. So that's why I say vote yes.
And another word on the senior centers, you're absolutely right. That socialization is so very important. As people get older, they get more isolated as their family moves away or their friends pass on, and even meals. And that can have a big impact on someone's health if they're not eating regularly or not interacting. And so, there's a lot of benefits to the senior centers. Absolutely.
Yeah. You're supporting life by voting yes on these. So please, like I said, Dr. Powell can't say it, but I will. And turn that ballot over and you read it all if you want, but I'm telling you, just vote yes, yes, and yes. And then, dot those three yeses and then turn in your ballot. So,
I wanted to say one thing. We had mentioned the paramedic program, and I was in Santa Fe over the weekend and yesterday in meetings to talk about workforce development and career tech ed. But I know that there was a fire down in Lake Arthur, and one of the things that happened, I saw it online, is that a lot of the firefighters and first responders from around the area went to work this structural fire down in Lake Arthur. And that's one of the things about the community colleges. So the fire chief in Lake Arthur is Justin Powell. Well, guess what? He's one of our faculty members on our paramedic program. And so it's just their experience and education. It's not like you're going to school and having, someone who just finished a bachelor's degree and is working on a master's or a doctorate as a graduate assistant teaching the classes. And that's one of the benefits of the community colleges, because our faculty are going to be either holders of master's degrees or doctorates, or they're going to be certified in their areas with years of experience.
Exactly. Like I'm pretty sure pretty much everyone in your nursing or EMT or your medical program, I would say almost to a person, every one of those had a big, extensive career in that industry before they're now here teaching what they've been doing for years, And so that speaks something with the experience, and not to, try to cheapen professors' knowledge. All that's great, but it is a lot easier to try to learn something for someone that literally been doing it as their main staple for 20 plus years or whatever it is. It's just that experience, that wisdom You can't match that with anything else. And that's why you got to respect old people, youngins, because the wisdom we gather making dumb mistakes all our whole life is going to help you.
Well, as an AARP card member, I'll just say, okay. Okay. Appreciate that. But
we're running short on time here.
Sure.
Can you start registering for spring semester yet, or is that coming up here?
that'll be a little bit later.
Okay,
in
I didn't know if
October,
it got
first
into
part of
November before we were
Yeah.
starting to register for spring. But now's the time to think about that stuff.
Right.
If you're a new student, you're not registered with the college, now's a perfect time to go talk to the counselors, talk to the folks, get enrolled. And that way, here in a couple of weeks, you can start picking your classes and getting ready for that first semester. But now you can line up your financial aid, line up registering, deciding, talking with the counselors on what you're wanting to pursue, whether it's a degree plan or just want to take a couple classes or you're shooting for a certificate or whatever it is you're trying to do. Now's the time to sit down and talk with the experts and let them help you do that. And as soon as you're done talking admissions, walk your butt over to financial aid. I don't care.
Right.
I don't care if you're a millionaire or got no money. Go talk to financial aid. There's probably a scholarship or two that can help you, even if it's just a couple $100 to pay for books. That's a couple $100 you don't have to use to pay for books.
Absolutely.
So please utilize that. Every single student at the college should make a trip into that financial aid office and talk, because there's so much money that goes unclaimed because people don't know about it, and I think that to fix that is every single student needs to march their butt into that financial aid. Maybe there isn't one for you, but you won't know until you go and check it
Absolutely.
out. So.
No, I would encourage everybody to, start looking at their applications if they want to get into the spring semester and enroll early, register for the classes early. The earlier you enroll, the more classes opportunities there are. If you wait till later into December or even January, the opportunities aren't the same.
People's
Those classes
schedules are
full.
similar. So if everyone needs an English class at 8 o'clock on Tuesday morning, you might have to get that earlier. You might get left out on it and have to take the 7 o'clock at night one. So it's stuff like that. That's where the early bird gets the worm on stuff like that. So if you have a real stringent schedule, then the earlier you do it, the more likely you're going to be able to get things in the times that work best with your schedule. If you wait till December or January, you might have to compromise a bit.
Absolutely.
Very good. Roswell.enmu.edu is the website. You can go there. You guys have stuff on the bonds 2 and 3 there too.
We have some information.
So if you want to read more about what's in these bonds, that's a resource there too. If you talk with the clerk's office, they'll be happy to give you information on all 3 bonds as well too. So if you're wanting to do, and please by all means do your own research, read the red tape, before you commit to voting, please know exactly what you're voting for. And after that, then vote yes.
Well, again, thank you for the support today. Appreciate
Anytime,
it.
Doctor. We'll see you again soon, hopefully.
Okay.
Here.
Thank you very much.
All right.